For a species that built the internet, mapped the genome, and put a car on Mars, we're still absolutely terrified of black cats and Mercury retrograde. We live in an age of quantum computing and still treat spilled salt like it's a demon invasion. Humanity invented Wi-Fi, but not common sense. And believe me, the rabbit holes we're about to fall into, they make Friday the 13th look like a TED Talk. 1. Breaking a mirror gives you 7 years of bad luck. Because obviously, the universe runs on a points-based warranty system. Somewhere in the cosmic DMV, there's a clerk stamping 7 years of suffering on your file because you dropped a $12 Target mirror. Never mind that mirrors are made of glass, not dark magic. The idea comes from ancient Rome, where reflections were tied to your soul. And since they thought souls regenerated every 7 years, breaking a mirror meant your spirit got a factory reset. Fast forward 2 millennia, and people still gasp like you just sacrificed a kitten every time a mirror cracks. Honestly, if bad luck were real, I'd be bankrupt, bald, and on fire by now. 2. Walking under a ladder brings bad luck. This one dates back to medieval times when people decided triangles were sacred. Because, geometry equals God. So walking under a ladder broke the Holy Trinity. Today, it mostly just breaks OSHA guidelines. But people still avoid it like they're dodging a sniper. I once saw a guy walk into traffic rather than pass under a stepladder. Congratulations, you've traded bad luck for a head injury. If the supernatural world really cared that much about triangles, every Dorito bag would come with a curse. 3. Opening an umbrella indoors is dangerous. Yes, because ancient spirits are apparently triggered by weather preparedness. The superstition came from Victorian England, where people thought opening an umbrella inside offended the sun god, who, I assume, was already offended by the constant rain. These days, people still whisper, "Don't do that," as if a portal to hell is about to open in the living room. The irony? You're more likely to suffer bad luck because you bought the $5 umbrella that flips inside out at the first gust of wind. 4. Friday the 13th is cursed. It's the day where logic takes a personal day and everyone becomes a statistician for chaos. Planes don't crash more, the stock market doesn't tank more, but hotels still skip the 13th floor like ghosts can't count. The whole thing started because Judas was the 13th guest at the Last Supper, which is ironic, because if he hadn't shown up, we wouldn't even have this superstition. So thank you, Judas, for making Expedia bookings slightly more complicated for the rest of time. 5. Knocking on wood brings good luck. Humans invent language, medicine, and flight, but still believe luck lives inside a tree. Ancient pagans thought spirits lived in the bark, so knocking was basically you, saying, "Hey forest ghost, please make sure my presentation goes well." Now we just tap IKEA furniture, like it's a magic button for success. I once saw a CEO knock on a conference table before announcing layoffs. Yeah, that worked great. 6. Carrying a rabbit's foot for luck. Nothing says fortune and prosperity like clutching a severed animal limb. This charm dates back to ancient Europe, where people believed rabbits were witches' familiars, so their body parts carried magic. Fast forward to now, and we've turned that into a keychain for children. Imagine explaining that to aliens. Yes, we kill the cute one for luck, but we pet the black one for stress relief. 7. Tossing salt over your left shoulder. This one's for when you spill salt, which, surprise, was once worth more than gold. So instead of crying about wasting money, people decided the devil was standing behind their left shoulder waiting for an invite. Tossing salt was basically throwing a mini grenade at Satan. Today, it's the same motion people use to season fries. If demons were really hanging around that much, Olive Garden would be a war zone. 8. Saying bless you when someone sneezes. You sneeze, your body clears a minor irritation, and suddenly everyone in the room is conducting an emergency exorcism. This started in medieval times when sneezing was considered the soul trying to escape, or worse, the devil trying to get in. So people said, "God bless you," to keep your spirit from wandering off like a lost balloon. Now we do it out of habit, which is adorable. We're basically still fighting plague demons with politeness. 9. Avoiding black cats. Because nothing says rationality like being terrified of a household pet. Black cats got their bad rep from the Middle Ages, when people thought witches turned into them at night. Meanwhile, cats were literally saving lives by killing plague-carrying rats. We called them evil for doing pest control. The superstition stuck, and centuries later, people still swerve their car to avoid bad luck, ironically endangering the one thing that actually had 9 lives. 10. Stepping on a crack breaks your mother's back. A phrase that turned generations of children into sidewalk snipers. It came from a racist 19th century rhyme about sin and punishment, but somehow evolved into suburban folklore. Kids hopscotching down the street like Olympic gymnasts to save mom from spinal trauma. Meanwhile, mom's at home throwing her back out carrying groceries. Turns out physics, not pavement, is the real villain. 11. Crossing your fingers for good luck. Originally, this was a secret Christian symbol during persecution. 2 people would cross fingers as a way to form the symbol of the cross. Now we do it alone while lying about finishing our taxes. It's the physical embodiment of, I have no plan, but maybe magic will handle it. Cross all you want. The IRS is immune to hope-based defense systems. 12. Horseshoes over the door keep evil away. Ah yes, the metal crescent that scares away demons but not solicitors. The superstition says the iron drives off bad spirits, and the shape traps good luck inside. But no one can agree if it should hang up or down. One way keeps the luck in, the other pours it out. Which means half the world is spiritually hoarding, and the other half is spiritually leaking. Meanwhile, your Amazon delivery driver still misses your gate code. 13. The number 66 is cursed. It's called the number of the beast, which sounds scary until you realize it's just a translation error from ancient Greek numerology. But centuries later, people still freak out when their receipt totals 69666, as if Satan personally did their math. I once saw a woman buy a pack of gum just to change the total. Ma'am, if the devil wanted your soul, he wouldn't need to price it out at Walgreens. 14. Wishing on a shooting star. Apparently, the cosmos occasionally drop flaming space rocks just to take your requests. This comes from ancient Greece, where people thought stars fell when gods looked down, and wishes were a way to grab their attention. Now we make the same wish every time. Please let my rent clear. Somewhere, the gods are like, try budgeting. 15. Knocking twice before entering a haunted place. This one's great, as if ghosts have a doorbell etiquette policy. Supposedly, knocking twice announces your presence and keeps spirits calm. I love the idea that you're entering a cursed asylum and thinking, better make this polite. The logic's incredible. The ghost can throw chairs, but heaven forbid you forget to knock. 16. It's bad luck to leave your shoes upside down. In some cultures, this invites death into the home, because apparently footwear orientation is a cosmic red flag. The origin's practical. Scorpions, spiders, or sand could crawl in. So people said it was bad luck to stop you from doing something dumb. Fast forward to today, and people still flip their sneakers like they're defusing a bomb. If death can be summoned by a misplaced crock, we're doomed as a species. 17. If your ears are ringing, someone's talking about you. Right, because clearly, biology is just gossip with sound effects. This superstition goes back to ancient Rome, when people believed ringing ears were telepathic alerts from the drama committee of the universe. Today, it's just tinnitus from living in a world that never shuts up. But sure, Cheryl, I'm sure your ex's new girlfriend is discussing you through radio waves. 18. In Turkey, people believe chewing gum at night turns it into the flesh of the dead. Yes, apparently the afterlife has a Wrigley's division. The superstition says that after sunset, gum morphs into rotting human tissue in your mouth, which really makes you wonder what the marketing slogan would be. Double mint, taste the afterlife. The origin? Likely just parents trying to stop their kids from making smacking noises at dinner. But centuries later, grown adults still avoid gum like it's zombie bait. Meanwhile, Americans will eat fluorescent blue gum that lasts 12 seconds and call it Cool Blast Extreme. So maybe Turkey's got a point. At least their version of gum comes with a horror plot, not a dental bill. 19. In Japan, sticking your chopsticks upright in a bowl of rice is basically a dinner table exorcism. It's considered a death omen because it resembles incense offerings at funerals. So if you do it accidentally, congratulations, you just spiritually murdered the vibe. Japanese culture values harmony and subtlety, and nothing screams, I have no idea what I'm doing, like turning your sushi into a shrine. It's the equivalent of clinking a wine glass at a wake and yelling cheers. Even if you don't believe in bad luck, the social shame alone will haunt you longer than any ghost. 20. In South Korea, there's a superstition that sleeping with a fan on will literally kill you. Fan death, they call it, like a bad heavy metal band from the 80s. People genuinely believe that an electric fan in a closed room will suck the oxygen out or drop your body temperature until you die. Every summer, you'll find warning stickers on fans reminding you not to commit appliance-assisted suicide. The truth? It's pure folklore mixed with heat stroke and a touch of paranoia. But sure, blame the fan, not the 98-degree humidity or the soju. 21. In Russia, it's considered bad luck to whistle indoors because it's said to whistle away your money. Which is kind of poetic, really. Imagine your entire financial stability floating out of your mouth like a kazoo solo. Russians take this one seriously. Whistle in a house, and someone will glare at you like you just burned rubles in the fireplace. The origin's practical. Whistling was once used by sailors to mimic wind and summon storms, which I guess is nature's version of overdrafting your bank account. So if you ever visit Russia, keep your lips shut unless you want your credit score to vanish into thin air. 22. In India, cutting your nails or hair after sunset is still considered bad luck. The logic goes all the way back to when people used oil lamps, and bad timing could mean slicing off more than intended. But instead of updating the rule for the modern world, the superstition just stuck. So now, even with LED lighting and ergonomic nail clippers, some people still refuse to trim anything after dark, which is adorable, like thinking you'll summon a demon by using a Roomba past 9 p.m. Apparently, the spirit world has office hours. 23. In Italy, it's bad luck to put your hat on a bed. Supposedly, it invites death into the house. The story goes that priests used to place their hats on beds during last rites, so the association stuck. Today, Italians will treat a misplaced hat like a live grenade. It's kind of impressive, really. This is a culture that waves their hands while crossing the street in traffic, but draws the line at millinery placement. Meanwhile, I've seen Americans sleep in full baseball caps for style. If the Grim Reaper were truly offended by hats, every frat house would have been wiped out decades ago. 24. In the Philippines, it's bad luck to go straight home after a wake. You have to make a quick detour, a ritual called pagpag, to shake off any spirits that might have followed you. Basically, you stop for coffee so ghosts can't carpool. It's smart in theory. You avoid haunting and you get a snack. The irony is that this leads to a crowd of half-grieving, half-hungry people hanging around Jollibee at midnight, trying to spiritually confuse the undead with fried chicken. Somewhere out there, a ghost is just sitting in a drive-through line, deeply frustrated. 25. In China, giving someone a clock as a gift is like handing them a countdown to death. The words for give a clock sound like attend a funeral, so it's a huge taboo. Imagine gifting a wall clock and watching your friend's soul leave their body in slow motion. The superstition is so strong that stores even wrap clocks differently or refuse to sell them as presents. Honestly, it's kind of elegant. If time is money, then gifting time is basically financial murder. So next time you want to give a Chinese friend a timeless gift, maybe just go with socks. 26. In Ireland, if a bird poops on you, it's considered good luck. Yes, apparently divine fortune now comes in a warm, biological splatter. The logic? Birds fly close to heaven, so their waste is a blessing from above. Personally, I think that's a cope mechanism someone invented after showing up to a wedding covered in pigeon regret. And it stuck because humans are great at turning humiliation into religion. Somewhere in Dublin right now, a man's entire self-esteem rests on the belief that a seagull chose him. 27. In Thailand, you shouldn't point at rainbows. It's believed your finger will rot, which is such a dramatic punishment for weather appreciation. It comes from the idea that rainbows are sacred bridges between worlds, and pointing is disrespectful. So instead of awe, you're supposed to look reverently and keep your hands to yourself like it's a royal parade. It's probably for the best, though. Most people can't even point at directions correctly. If cosmic justice punished rudeness this way, half of Twitter would be fingerless. 28. In Egypt, trimming your nails on a Saturday brings bad luck, but doing it on a Friday brings blessings. No one knows why the universe suddenly becomes pro-manicure on Fridays, but apparently, God cares deeply about your cuticle schedule. This kind of superstition feels like divine micromanagement. like the cosmos runs a beauty salon that's closed 6 days a week. Meanwhile, most of us are just proud if we remember which hand we already filed. 29. In Brazil, sweeping someone's feet with a broom curses them to stay single forever, which is hilarious because the same superstition guarantees half of Brazil's population is cursed by now. The logic comes from old household customs, where sweeping was tied to purity and order. Now it's just another reason to never clean. You can almost hear the excuses. Sorry, Grandma, can't sweep. I'm trying to manifest a boyfriend. Honestly, if loneliness could be blamed on Swiffer accidents, therapy would be a lot cheaper. 30. In Serbia, spilling water behind someone as they leave the house brings them good luck. Parents will literally dump glasses of water at their kids' feet before exams, like it's a Slavic baptism for success. The water represents smooth travel and safety, though the real miracle is that no one slips and dies. Somewhere between a science experiment and a superstition, it's essentially saying, good luck, now mop this. 31. In Iceland, you're not supposed to knit on your doorstep during winter, or else you'll lengthen the season, which is a poetic way of saying, please stop doing crafts outside. It's freezing. This one likely started as practical advice from people who didn't want snow blowing into the yarn, but it evolved into the idea that knitting somehow controls the Earth's tilt. I wish that were true, because if sweaters could alter the climate, we'd have fixed global warming by now. 32. In Greece, wearing a blue eye charm, called the evil eye, protects you from jealousy. It's a tiny amulet that supposedly reflects envy back onto whoever sent it. Basically, ancient spiritual sunglasses. People wear them everywhere. Jewelry, cars, baby strollers. It's kind of adorable how we turned insecurity into an accessory. If envy were truly that easy to block, Instagram would have gone out of business years ago. 33. In Vietnam, sleeping with your head facing north invites bad luck because that's how corpses are laid to rest. So, unless you're aiming for premature haunting, you better bust out a compass before bed. This one's practical on some level. It helped people orient graves correctly. But now, it just means every hotel guest spends 15 minutes rearranging furniture. Honestly, if my luck depends on pillow direction, I'm already doomed. 34. In Mexico, it's believed that sweeping at night sweeps away your good fortune, which is such a convenient rule for lazy people. The story says nighttime sweeping confuses the spirits of abundance and sends them packing. Personally, I think it was just invented by someone who didn't want to do chores after dinner, and it caught on because it's brilliant. Sorry, honey, I can't clean. I might accidentally banish prosperity. If that logic worked universally, I'd never do laundry again. 35. In Romania, if you leave your purse or wallet on the floor, it means you're disrespecting your money and it'll leave you. Which is weird because, in my experience, money leaves me regardless of where I put it. The superstition says your finances will run away, as if cash is some emotionally fragile house pet. It's meant to encourage tidiness, but people treat it like black magic. I once saw a woman snatch her handbag off a cafe floor like it was sitting on a landmine. Honestly, if money could run, mine would have sprinted out of my bank account years ago, bought itself a drink, and never looked back. 36. In Nigeria, it's considered bad luck to whistle at night because it summons snakes or evil spirits, depending on your zip code. Either way, the moral is simple. Shut up after sunset. The logic likely started as a practical warning to avoid attracting predators, but now it's a full-blown spiritual noise complaint. I love how specific it is. Not don't scream, not don't start a fire, just don't whistle. Apparently, serpents and demons share a Spotify playlist and only respond to upbeat tunes. Imagine a python slithering into your living room like, is that Sweet Caroline? 37. In Pakistan, if your right eye twitches, it means good luck is coming. If it's your left, it means doom. So basically, your eyelid is a livestock ticker for fate. It's funny how science says it's just a muscle spasm from stress or caffeine, but humans saw that and thought, no, that's definitely destiny Morse coding my future. Somewhere right now, someone's having an anxiety attack and calling it divine foreshadowing. If that's true, I must be destined for a life of constant disappointment and Red Bull overdoses. 38. In Spain, It's bad luck to toast with water. The belief is that you'll be cursed with bad fortune or, my favorite, 7 years without sex. That's oddly specific punishment for being hydrated. This started with sailors toasting the dead using water, so it's symbolic. But it's also the most European thing ever. Apparently, the afterlife is offended by your lack of alcohol. Imagine being at a brunch with friends, raising your glass of sparkling water, and instantly becoming a spiritual celibate. If that's true, half of Los Angeles is doomed. 39. In South America, many believe that if you sweep over someone's feet, they'll never get married. So sweeping becomes a literal romantic death sentence. People will leap out of the way like you're wielding a chainsaw instead of a broom. The origin is probably about social hierarchy. Servant sweeping meant you weren't marriage material. But now it's just slapstick destiny management. Personally, I'd risk it. If one quick broom pass means I don't have to argue over thermostat settings, hand me a Swiffer and a dream. 40. In Iceland, there's a superstition that elves live inside rocks and hills, like entire communities of invisible homeowners just vibing under the ground. Construction projects have actually been halted because of it. Workers will reroute highways to avoid elf habitats, which is kind of amazing. Imagine your road trip getting delayed because someone's worried about evicting Gandalf. The belief is rooted in folklore, but it's treated with bureaucratic sincerity. Somewhere, there's an Icelandic zoning official explaining to investors why a billion-dollar project can't continue until the fairies sign off. 41. In Japan, the number 4 is considered cursed because it sounds like the word for death. So you'll find hotels and hospitals skipping the 4th floor entirely, as if death can't use elevators. It's similar to the Western fear of 13, but somehow more committed. Some hospitals even skip room numbers with a 4 in them, like 403 or 414, which raises a question. What happens if someone actually dies in room 405? Do they just rebrand it as 399B? It's less superstition and more architectural denial at this point. 42. In the American South, there's a belief that painting your porch ceiling blue keeps ghosts and insects away. Supposedly, spirits mistake the color for water and won't cross it. The bugs part actually works a little. The blue confuses mosquitoes. But the ghost theory? That's just decorative optimism. Homeowners swear by it, proudly saying things like, "We haven't had a haunting in years." Yeah, Karen, maybe because you live next to a Walgreens, not a graveyard. If ghosts are really fooled by paint, I say we color code the whole planet and call it a day. 43. In Scotland, seeing a single magpie bird is bad luck unless you greet it politely. People literally nod and say, "Good morning, Mr. Magpie," like they're trying to impress a feathered tax auditor. If you forget, you can reverse the curse by saluting it. It's absurdly British. Of course, their bad luck ritual involves formal greetings and a minor bow. Somewhere out there, a bird has more social clout than half the House of Lords. 44. In China, some believe that writing someone's name in red ink brings bad luck, or worse, death. Red is used to mark names of the deceased, so doing it to the living is like writing their cosmic resignation letter. So if you ever sign a birthday card in red Sharpie, congratulations, you just spiritually assassinated your friend. Teachers have even been scolded for grading papers in red because apparently nothing says failing grade like accidental obituary. 45. In Greece, if you compliment a baby too much, you risk giving it the evil eye. Basically, a jealousy-powered curse. So Greeks invented a workaround. You say "ftu ftu ftu" and pretend to spit 3 times to protect the child. I've seen grandmothers do this with Olympic precision. What a beautiful baby. "Ftu ftu ftu." It's like a blessing and an exorcism performed simultaneously. Imagine explaining that to a pediatrician. "No, doctor, the baby's fine. We just spat on it for luck." 46. In Lithuania, whistling indoors is said to summon demons. And honestly, I kind of respect that one. It's less about the supernatural and more about preserving sanity. The idea came from sailors who thought whistling mimicked the wind and would call up storms, but it evolved into a household ban. I support this rule. If someone starts whistling at home unprompted, a demon showing up might actually be an improvement. 47. In Korea, writing someone's name in red ink means they'll die soon. So red pens are basically death threats. Schools have banned them from birthday cards, and kids treat them like cursed objects. It's the opposite of those glitter pens everyone loved in the 90s. This one's just murder-themed stationery. You have to admire the consistency, though. Westerners fear broken mirrors, Koreans fear Bic pens. Everyone's stupid, just in their own aesthetic way. 48. In Scotland again, there's a tradition that if the first person to visit your home on New Year's is tall, dark-haired, and carrying a gift, you'll have good luck for the year. It's called first footing, and it's basically Santa with more specificity and less cardio. The superstition started after Viking raids, where blonde strangers showing up at your door was not ideal. So now, people wait until midnight, hoping Idris Elba knocks with whiskey, which, honestly, doesn't sound unlucky at all. 49. In Malaysia, pregnant women are told not to sit in doorways because it will block their baby's exit, as if the unborn child is stuck in traffic trying to merge into the world. The idea is symbolic, but people take it literally. Grandmothers will scold expectant moms like they're parking violations. If childbirth were really controlled by furniture placement, hospitals wouldn't need doctors, just better feng shui. 50. In Haiti, it's said that if you sleep with your shoes next to the bed, you'll have nightmares because evil spirits can try them on and walk into your dreams. Which is hilarious, because apparently even demons love a good pair of loafers. The idea is that shoes carry energy from where you've been, so leaving them near your head invites chaos. Honestly, if supernatural entities are rummaging through my footwear, I hope they at least clean them. Nothing says haunting like a ghost with athlete's foot. 51. And finally, my personal favorite. In India, it's considered bad luck to cut your birthday cake yourself. The belief is that you'll cut your own life short. So the tradition is that someone else, usually a friend, must slice it for you. Think about that. After centuries of war, famine, and colonization, humanity has concluded that the real threat to existence is dessert etiquette. We have nuclear weapons, climate collapse, and AI robots. And yet, somewhere right now, a grown adult is refusing to cut a cake because the universe might smite them. If that's not the dumbest superstition ever, I don't know what is. Humanity's final legacy. Dying with clean hands, a full cake, and zero self-awareness. And there you have it. A world where mirrors curse you, ghosts fear paint, and cutting cake is apparently a death threat. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another deep dive into humanity's proudest brain farts.